The phone call came at 11:47 p.m. on a rainy Tuesday night in March 2024. Mr. Jordan, this is Sergeant Davis from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Your son, Marcus Jordan, has been arrested. For most celebrity fathers, the next move would be obvious: call the lawyers, fix the problem, make it disappear. Michael Jordan had the money, the power, and the connections to erase this embarrassment within hours. But what Michael Jordan did next shocked everyone. He didn't call his lawyers. He didn't rush to the jail. He didn't try to protect his billion-dollar brand. Instead, he sat down and did something he'd never done in 40 years of fame. He started telling the truth about his own hidden past. A past that included his own near arrest in 1986 that nobody knew about. A secret he'd buried to protect his perfect image. What happened over the next 6 hours would change everything. Not just for Marcus, not just for Michael, but for thousands of people who needed to hear one simple message. Perfection is a lie. Second chances are real. And sometimes the worst moment of your life becomes the doorway to your purpose. This is the story of how one arrest, one honest conversation, and one father's courage transformed shame into hope. The rain hit the windows of Michael Jordan's mansion like tiny drummers playing a sad song. It was Tuesday night, March 12, 2024. The clock on the wall showed 11:47 p.m. Michael sat in his favorite leather chair watching game film on his tablet. The Charlotte Hornets had lost again. As the team owner, losses felt personal. He rubbed his tired eyes, then his phone rang. The sound cut through the quiet house like a knife. Michael looked at the screen. The number showed Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. His heart jumped. His children, something happened to one of his children. "Hello," his voice came out rough. "Mr. Jordan. This is Sergeant Davis from the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. I'm calling about your son, Marcus Jordan." Michael stood up fast. His legs felt weak. "Is he okay? Is he hurt?" "He's not injured, sir, but he's been arrested." The word arrested hung in the air like smoke. Michael's mind raced. Marcus was 33 years old, a grown man, but still his son. Still his baby boy who used to wear his championship rings and pretend to dunk. Arrested for what? Michael asked. Assault and creating a public disturbance at a nightclub called The Vault on North Tryon Street. There was an argument that turned physical. He pushed another man. Security got involved. Michael closed his eyes. He saw Marcus as a little boy, maybe 7 years old, crying after losing a youth basketball game. Michael had told him, Jordans don't lose, Jordans win, always. Maybe that was the wrong thing to say. "Where is he now?" Michael asked. "Mecklenburg County Jail. He's being processed. Someone can post bail in the morning." "I'll be there in 2 hours, Michael said. "Sir, it's almost midnight. The jail won't release anyone until..." Michael hung up. His hands shook, not from fear, from memory, from guilt. From all the times he wasn't there when his kids needed him because basketball came first, because winning came first, because being Michael Jordan came first. His wife, Yvette Prieto, walked into the study. Her dark hair fell around her shoulders. She wore a worried look. "Michael, I heard your voice. What's wrong?" He didn't answer right away. He stared at his phone. On the screen was his background photo, all 5 of his children together at last Christmas. Jeffrey, Marcus, Jasmine, Victoria, and Usable, all smiling, all perfect in that frozen moment. "Marcus got arrested," he finally said. The words felt heavy in his mouth. Yvette gasped. "Oh no, for what?" "Fighting at a nightclub, he pushed someone." She moved closer and touched his arm. "Are you okay?" Michael looked at her, really looked at her. "I don't know." Yvette knew that look. In their 11 years of marriage, she'd learned to read Michael's faces. This was his thinking face, his something deeper is happening face. "You're going to Charlotte?" she asked. "Yes, but not right now." "What? Michael, your son needs you." He walked to his desk and sat down. He pulled out paper, real paper, not his phone or tablet, and a pen. His hand moved to start writing. Yvette watched, confused. Michael Jordan always moved fast. When problems came, he fixed them immediately. He made phone calls, he sent lawyers, he protected his family and his name. But now he sat writing like he had all the time in the world. "Michael, I don't understand. Why aren't you calling your lawyer? Why aren't you getting in the car?" Michael kept writing. His hand moved across the paper in smooth lines. "Because I need to figure out what to say to him." "You'll figure it out on the plane. Marcus is sitting in jail." Michael stopped writing. He looked up at his wife. His eyes were wet, but no tears fell. Michael Jordan didn't cry, not in public, not even in private. That's what 40 years of being famous taught him. "I messed up, Yvette, with all my kids, but especially with Marcus. I taught them to be perfect. I taught them that mistakes were failures. I taught them that the Jordan name meant more than anything else." "You were a good father," Yvette said softly. "No, I was Michael Jordan who happened to be a father. That's different. Tonight, I need to become a father who happens to be Michael Jordan, and I need to write this letter first." Yvette sat down on the couch. She didn't understand, but she trusted him. "What are you writing?" Michael looked down at the paper. "The truth, something I should have written a long time ago." Outside, the rain kept falling. In Charlotte, Marcus sat in a jail cell. And in Jupiter, Florida, Michael Jordan started telling a story he'd kept secret for 38 years. A story that would change everything. 6 hours earlier, Marcus Jordan sat in his luxury apartment in Charlotte. The place cost him $4,500 every month. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city lights. Expensive furniture filled every room. A signed photo of his father dunking hung on the wall. But Marcus barely looked at any of it. His eyes stayed locked on his laptop screen. Red numbers stared back at him. His trophy room sneaker business was dying. The rent at his Disneyland location in California ate $45,000 every single month. Sales had dropped 30% since January. His accountant sent an email with the subject line, "We need to talk ASAP." Marcus slammed his laptop shut. He was 33 years old and he still felt like he was failing his father's test. The doorbell rang at 6:30 p.m. Devin Mitchell walked in carrying a briefcase and a tired expression. Devin was Marcus's business partner, a tall man with gray touching his temples and worry lines around his eyes. "Marcus, we need to make decisions tonight," Devin said, sitting on the leather couch. "We can't keep bleeding money." "I know," Marcus said, but he didn't want to know. He wanted the business to work like magic. He wanted success to come easy like it seemed to for his father. Devin opened his briefcase and pulled out papers covered in charts and numbers. "Your dad's brand made $66 billion last year from Nike. That's billion with a B, but our stores. We lost $23 million. We have to close at least 2 locations." Something inside Marcus snapped. "Don't talk about my father. Don't compare me to him. This is MY business, not his." Devin looked surprised. In 3 years of working together, Marcus never yelled. "I'm just saying we need to be realistic." "Get out," Marcus said quietly. "What?" "Get out of my apartment. We're done talking tonight." Devin stood up slowly. He gathered his papers. "Marcus, I'm trying to help you." "Everyone is always trying to help me. Do you know why? Because I'm Michael Jordan's son, not because I'm Marcus, not because I earned it, because of whose kid I am." Devin left without another word. The door clicked shut. Marcus stood alone in his expensive apartment, feeling like the biggest failure in the world. He grabbed his car keys. He needed to get out, clear his head, stop thinking. The Vault nightclub sat on North Tryon Street in Charlotte's busy uptown area. Music pumped through the walls. People lined up outside, hoping to get in. Marcus walked past them all. The bouncer recognized him immediately. "Mr. Jordan, come "Come right in, sir." Inside, colored lights flashed. Bodies moved on the dance floor. Marcus went straight to the bar and ordered whiskey. The bartender didn't ask for ID. Everyone knew who he was. "Marcus Jordan, man, I haven't seen you since college." Marcus turned. Cameron Hayes stood there smiling big. Cameron played basketball with Marcus at the University of Central Florida. Back then, they were teammates. Back then, things were simpler. "Cameron, hey man," Marcus said, but his voice had no energy. Cameron sat down next to him, uninvited. "I heard about your shoe stores. Tough break. But hey, at least you got your dad's money to fall back on, right?" The words felt like a punch. "What did you say?" Cameron laughed, not noticing Marcus's anger. "Come on, man. We both know you're set for life. Must be nice having Michael Jordan write checks whenever you fail." Marcus's hands became fists. "You don't know anything about my life. I know you got every advantage in the world and still can't make a business work. Meanwhile, guys like me, we actually have to earn everything." Cameron kept talking, kept pushing, kept saying the words that Marcus feared were true. "You're living off your daddy's name. That's all you'll ever be. Michael Jordan's son who couldn't make it on his own." Marcus stood up fast. His bar stool fell backward and crashed. People turned to look. "Take that back," Marcus said. His voice shook. "Why, it's true. Everyone knows it. You're just mad I said it out loud." Marcus pushed Cameron hard. Cameron stumbled backward into another table. Drinks spilled everywhere. People screamed. Security guards rushed over. Two big men in black shirts. They grabbed Marcus's arms. "Let me go," Marcus shouted. "He started it. He was disrespecting me." Cameron stood up, his shirt wet with spilled drinks. "I'm calling the cops. You assaulted me." "Sir, you need to calm down," one security guard said. But Marcus couldn't calm down. 33 years of pressure exploded. 33 years of being compared to the greatest basketball player ever. 33 years of never being good enough. He tried to push past the security guards. "I said let me go." That's when the police arrived. Officer Jennifer Martinez walked through the club's front door at 11:30 p.m. She was a short woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She'd been a cop for 12 years. She saw Marcus immediately. Everyone in Charlotte knew that face. But Officer Martinez treated every person the same, rich or poor, famous or nobody. "Sir, I need you to put your hands behind your back," she said calmly. "Do you know who I am?" Marcus asked. He hated himself as soon as the words left his mouth. That's what entitled people said. That's what people who thought they were better than everyone else said. "Yes, sir. I know exactly who you are. Hands behind your back, please." The handcuffs clicked around Marcus's wrists. The sound was the loudest thing he'd ever heard. Louder than any crowd at a basketball game. Louder than any championship celebration. Officer Martinez read him his rights. Marcus heard the words but didn't process them. His mind kept repeating one thought: "My father is going to be so disappointed." The police car drove through Charlotte's streets. Rain started falling. Marcus sat in the back seat, handcuffed, watching the city lights blur past the window. They arrived at Mecklenburg County Jail on East 4th Street at 11:45 p.m. A gray building that looked like sadness turned into concrete. Inside, they processed him, took his photo, took his fingerprints, took his belt and shoelaces, took everything that made him Marcus Jordan and turned him into just another number. They led him to a holding cell, 4 concrete walls, 1 metal bench, 1 toilet without a seat, the smell of cleaning chemicals and human fear. Marcus sat down on the cold bench. Other people sat in the cell too, an older man with red eyes, a young guy with tattoos covering his arms, a woman crying softly in the corner. Nobody spoke. Nobody looked at each other. Everyone was alone together. Marcus had one phone call. He pulled out his cell phone. They let him keep it until he went to an actual cell. His finger hovered over his father's name in his contacts, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't call Michael Jordan and say, "Dad, I messed up. I got arrested. I failed again." Instead, he called his mother. Juanita Van answered on the second ring. "Marcus, baby, it's almost midnight. What's wrong?" Just hearing her voice made Marcus want to cry, but he held it together. "Mom, I'm in jail. I got arrested for fighting." Silence on the other end. Then, "Are you hurt?" "No." "Did you hurt anyone else?" "No, I just pushed someone." More silence. Then his mother said the words he didn't want to hear. "You need to call your father." "I can't, Mom. He's going to be so disappointed in me." Juanita's voice got soft. "Marcus Jordan, listen to me. Your father has been disappointed before, but he's never stopped being your daddy. Not once. Not ever. You call him right now." "But Mom..." "Right now, Marcus, he needs to know, and you need him." The call ended. Marcus stared at his father's name in his phone. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, 6-time NBA champion, 5-time MVP, billionaire, legend, and Marcus was just Marcus. The son who couldn't live up to the name, but his mother was right. He had to make the call. His finger pressed the name. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times, then his father's voice. "Marcus." "Dad, Marcus's voice cracked. "I messed up. I'm in jail." He heard his father breathe deeply on the other end. "Tell me what happened." Marcus explained everything, the business failing, the fight with Cameron, the arrest, the handcuffs, the jail cell. All of it poured out like water from a broken dam. When he finished, Michael Jordan was quiet for a long time, so long that Marcus thought the call dropped. "Dad, you still there?" "I'm here, son. I'm just thinking." "About what?" "About what kind of father I've been, and what kind of father I need to be now." Marcus didn't understand. "Dad, I'm the one who messed up, not you." "We'll talk more tomorrow. Get some rest. I love you, Marcus." "I love you too, Dad." The call ended. Marcus sat in the holding cell, holding his phone, wondering what his father meant. Next to him, a young man about 19 years old shifted on the bench. He had been quiet the whole time, but now he looked at Marcus. "You're Michael Jordan's kid," the young man said. It wasn't a question. "Yeah," Marcus admitted. "I'm Isaiah. I'm here because I stole food from a convenience store. My little sister was hungry and we didn't have money. They're charging me with theft." Isaiah looked at his hands. "You can probably get out easy. Rich people always do, but I'll be here for weeks, maybe months." Marcus felt something break inside his chest. Here he was, feeling sorry for himself when people like Isaiah faced real problems, real struggles, real consequences for trying to feed their families. "I'm sorry, Isaiah," Marcus said quietly. "For what? You didn't put me here." "I'm sorry that the world works like this, that some people get breaks and others don't." Isaiah shrugged. "That's just how it is when your last name is Jordan. You get breaks. Mine is Washington and I don't." They sat in silence as the clock moved past midnight. Marcus thought about his luxury apartment, his failing business that still had $23 million to lose, his famous father, his privilege. And he thought about Isaiah stealing food because his sister was hungry. At 2:15 a.m., a guard called Marcus's name. "Jordan, you made bail." Marcus stood up. He looked at Isaiah. "Good luck, man." "You too, Mr. Jordan." Marcus walked to the release desk. He expected to see his father's lawyer, a woman named Rebecca Thompson who fixed all the Jordan family problems. But she wasn't there. Instead, a guard handed him a piece of paper, a note folded once with his father's handwriting. "Marcus, meet me at 2142 Beatties Ford Road at 10:00 a.m. Come alone. Dad." Marcus read it 3 times, That wasn't his father's mansion address. That wasn't the Charlotte Hornets arena. That wasn't any place Marcus recognized. Where was his father sending him? And why wasn't Michael coming to get him right now? Marcus walked out of the jail into the rainy Charlotte night. He had 8 hours to wonder what his father was planning. He had 8 hours to wonder if his life was about to change forever. Back in Jupiter, Florida, Michael Jordan sat alone in his study. The letter to Marcus lay half-finished on his desk. The clock showed 3:00 a.m. He hadn't slept. The study was Michael's favorite room in the whole mansion. 6 NBA championship trophies lined the shelves: 1991, 1992, 1993, 1996, 1997, and 1998. Each one told a story. Each one represented sacrifice, hard work, and victory. But tonight, those trophies felt like ghosts. Photos covered the walls. Michael with his father, James Jordan, smiling at a baseball game. Michael with all 5 of his children at Disney World. Michael receiving the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama in 2016. A perfect life captured in perfect moments. But Michael knew the truth. Behind every perfect photo was an imperfect person trying his best and sometimes failing. Yvette walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Michael and sat down on the leather couch. "You've been writing for 3 hours. Are you going to tell me what's in that letter?" Michael took a sip of coffee. It burned his tongue, but he welcomed the pain. It felt real. "I'm writing about something I've never told anyone, not fully, not the whole truth." "About what?" "About the night I almost became Marcus." Yvette leaned forward. In 11 years of marriage, Michael had told her many stories, but this one was new. Michael set down his coffee cup and closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was back in 1986, back when he was 23 years old and thought he knew everything. "It was November 1986, Michael began. "I was in my 2nd season with the Chicago Bulls. We just lost to the Boston Celtics again. Larry Bird scored 42 points. I scored 38, but it wasn't enough. It was never enough back then." Yvette listened quietly. She knew not to interrupt when Michael's voice got this distant. "After the game, I was so angry. I drove my BMW too fast through Chicago streets, blowing through yellow lights, taking turns too sharp. I was young and stupid and thought being Michael Jordan meant I was untouchable." Michael stood up and walked to the window. Rain still fell outside. "A police car pulled me over on Michigan Avenue. 2 cops got out. One was young, maybe 25. The other was older, maybe 40. The older cop's name was Patrick Sullivan." "What happened?" Yvette asked. "The young cop wanted to arrest me right there. He said, 'You were doing 60 in a 35 zone, that's reckless driving, that's jail time.' But Officer Sullivan stopped him. He looked at me, really looked at me and said, 'Son, are you trying to kill yourself or someone else?'" Michael turned back to face his wife. "I told him I was just angry about the game. And you know what Officer Sullivan said? He said, 'Basketball is a game. Life isn't. Your parents raised you better than this.'" "Did they arrest you?" Yvette asked. "Number Officer Sullivan gave me a warning. He wrote me a ticket for speeding but not for reckless driving. He could have arrested me, should have arrested me, but he showed me mercy instead." Michael walked back to his desk and picked up the letter. "Officer Sullivan told me something I never forgot. He said, 'You've got a gift, Michael. Don't waste it on stupid choices. 20 years from now, some kid is going to look up to you. What kind of man do you want them to see?'" Yvette wiped her eyes. "That's beautiful, Michael." "I never told anyone about that night. Not the media, not my teammates, not even my mother." Michael's voice dropped to almost a whisper. "And I definitely didn't tell my father." "Why not?" "Because I was ashamed. Because I wanted to be perfect. Because Michael Jordan doesn't make mistakes. At least that's what I thought I had to be." Michael sat back down at his desk. But my father found out anyway. 2 weeks later, someone told him. Maybe Officer Sullivan. Maybe someone who saw the traffic stop. I don't know, but Dad knew. What did he do? He didn't yell. That's what scared me most. He just said, "Get in the car, Michael. We're going for a ride." So I got in the car with no idea where we were going. Michael smiled sadly at the memory. We drove from Chicago all the way back to Wilmington, North Carolina, 10 hours in the car. Dad barely said a word for the first 8 hours, just drove and played jazz music on the radio. When we got to Wilmington, he drove past our old house, past Laney High School where I played basketball, past the park where I learned to shoot. Then he stopped at a Boys and Girls Club on 5th Street. Yvette watched her husband's face change, pain and regret mixed together. "We're going inside," Dad said. "You're going to talk to those kids about making good choices." So I did. 30 kids sat in a circle, all of them looking at me like I was a hero. One little boy, maybe 10 years old, raised his hand and asked, "Mr. Jordan, did you ever mess up? Did you ever do something wrong?" Michael's voice cracked. I looked at my father, then I looked at that little boy, and I lied. I said, "No, I always made good choices. I always did the right thing." "Oh, Michael," Yvette whispered. My father just stared at me. He didn't say anything in front of the kids, but when we got back in the car, he gave me a look. That look said everything. It said, "You just taught those kids that being human isn't okay. You just taught them that mistakes are unforgivable. You just taught them to lie like you did." Michael wiped his eyes. Michael Jordan, the man who never cried in public, had tears running down his face in his own home. We drove back to Chicago in silence. 10 more hours. Dad dropped me off at my apartment and said, "Son, I love you, but I'm disappointed in the man you're choosing to become." Then he left. Yvette moved to sit next to her husband. She held his hand. "For 38 years, Michael continued, I've carried that disappointment. I built a perfect image. I never admitted mistakes. I never showed weakness. I became the greatest basketball player in history, but I also became a lie." "You're not a lie, Michael. Parts of me are, the parts I showed the world, and I taught my kids to be lies too. I taught them that mistakes were failures, that being a Jordan meant being perfect, that anything less than greatness was shameful." Michael picked up his pen again. "That's what I'm writing to Marcus. I'm telling him the truth, all of it. I'm telling him about Officer Sullivan, about lying to those kids, about my father's disappointment, about being human." "Why now?" Yvette asked. "Why after all these years?" "Because Marcus is sitting in a jail cell thinking he failed me, thinking he's not good enough to be a Jordan, thinking one mistake defines him forever." Michael's voice got stronger. "I'm not letting him live the lie I lived. I'm not letting him carry the weight I carried for 38 years. So that's why you're not rushing to Charlotte. I needed these hours to figure out who I am without the perfect image. I needed time to write down the truth before I faced my son. Because when I see Marcus at 10 o'clock this morning, I need to be his father. Not Michael Jordan the legend. Just Michael Jordan the man who made mistakes and learned from them." Michael returned to writing his letter. His hand moved faster now, like the words couldn't come out quick enough. Yvette watched him work. "Where are you taking Marcus? What's at that address on Beatties Ford Road?" Michael looked up and smiled. A real smile, not the camera smile he'd perfected over 40 years. A place where broken people learn they're not broken at all, just human. He wrote for another hour while Yvette sat with him. The rain outside finally stopped. Morning light started creeping through the windows. At 5:00 a.m., Michael finished the letter. 8 pages of handwriting, 8 pages of truth, 8 pages of apologies, explanations, and love. He folded the letter carefully and put it in an envelope. On the outside, he wrote simply, Marcus. Then he made phone calls, not to lawyers, not to PR people, not to anyone who would make Marcus's arrest disappear. First, he called information for Springfield, Illinois. Can you give me a number for Patrick Sullivan? The operator found it. Michael dialed. The phone rang 4 times before a sleepy voice answered. Hello. Officer Sullivan, this is Michael Jordan. I don't know if you remember me, but... Michael, of course I remember you. It's been almost 40 years. I need your help, Michael said. Or really, my son needs what you gave me back in 1986. He needs mercy. He needs someone to show him that mistakes don't end stories, they begin them. They talked for 30 minutes. Officer Sullivan, now 72 years old and retired, listened to everything. When Michael finished, Patrick said, Michael, you did good calling me, but your son doesn't need me. He needs you, the real you, not the perfect one. I know, Michael said. I'm finally ready to be real. Next, he called his ex-wife Juanita. Marcus's mother answered immediately. I figured you'd call, she said. I need to stop protecting the image and start protecting our son's soul, Michael told her. It's about time, Juanita said, but her voice was kind. Marcus needs his father, not the basketball player, not the billionaire, his father. I'm going to tell him everything, about 1986, about Officer Sullivan, about lying to those kids, about Dad's disappointment, everything. Juanita was quiet for a moment. Then, that's the bravest thing you've ever done, Michael, braver than any championship. Michael called each of his other children, Jeffrey, Jasmine, Victoria, and Usable. He asked them about times he let them down by being Michael Jordan instead of being Dad. Jeffrey said, You missed my college graduation because of a golf tournament. Jasmine said, You never asked about my art, only about my grades. Victoria said, You made everything a competition, even family dinners. Usable, the youngest, said, Sometimes I felt like I had to be perfect or you wouldn't love me. Each answer was a knife in Michael's heart, but he needed to hear them. He needed to understand how his perfection hurt the people he loved most. Finally, he called Ms. Patricia Williams at the Second Chance Community Center in Charlotte. He'd been quietly donating to her program for 3 years without any publicity. Ms. Patricia, this is Michael Jordan. Mr. Jordan, is everything okay? My son got arrested last night. I'm bringing him to your center at 10 this morning. Can you help him see that mistakes don't end stories, they begin them? Ms. Patricia's voice was warm. That's what we do here, Mr. Jordan, every single day. We'll be ready for both of you. By 7:00 a.m., Michael had made all his calls. He'd written his letter. He'd faced his past. Now he was ready to help his son face the future. He walked upstairs and packed a small bag. Yvette met him at the door. You're a good man, Michael Jordan, she said. I'm trying to be, he answered. For the first time in a long time, I'm really trying. Michael's private jet left Jupiter at 8:00 a.m. It would land in Charlotte at 9:30 a.m. That gave him just enough time. As the plane lifted into the morning sky, Michael looked out the window at the clouds below. Somewhere in those clouds was the weight of 38 years of lies, and somewhere above them was the truth he was finally ready to tell. His son was waiting, and for once, Michael Jordan was ready to be exactly what Marcus needed. Not a legend, just a father. Marcus Jordan sat in his apartment staring at his father's note for the 100th time. The address 2142 Beatties Ford Road meant nothing to him. He typed it into Google Maps. A small building appeared. No fancy sign, no obvious purpose. The clock showed 6:00 a.m. He had 4 hours until he had to be there. His phone buzzed constantly. Text messages poured in. His brother Jeffrey saw the news. You okay? His mother again. Call me when you wake up. Friends, business partners. Everyone suddenly cared because everyone suddenly knew. Marcus opened Instagram. His stomach dropped. TMZ had posted a photo of him in handcuffs with the headline, "Marcus Jordan arrested in Charlotte nightclub brawl." Already 3,000 comments filled the post. Marcus couldn't stop himself from reading them. Rich kids think they can do whatever they want. His daddy will buy his way out like always. Must be nice being Michael Jordan's son. No consequences. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. MJ had anger issues too. Each comment felt like a punch. Marcus threw his phone across the room. It hit the couch and bounced onto the floor. By 7:00 a.m., the story exploded everywhere. ESPN ran it across their morning show. The banner read, "Michael Jordan's son faces assault charges." CNN picked it up. Fox Sports, NBC, ABC. Every major news outlet suddenly cared about Marcus Jordan's worst night. His phone rang. The caller ID showed Rebecca Thompson. Marcus answered. "Hello." "Marcus, it's Rebecca. I'm your father's attorney. I've handled the Jordan family legal matters for 15 years. "I know who you are," Marcus said quietly. Rebecca's voice was all business, professional, efficient. "I've spoken with the Charlotte prosecutor's office. The charges are misdemeanor assault and disturbing the peace. Not serious. I can have you in court by noon, agree to a plea deal, community service, anger management classes, and a fine. This disappears from the news cycle by tomorrow." "What does my father want me to do?" Marcus asked. Silence on the other end. "Then, that's the strange part. Your father said no." No to what?" "No to me making this disappear. No to the quick fix. No to the standard procedure." Rebecca sounded genuinely confused. "Marcus, in 15 years of working with your family, Michael has never refused my help. He always wants problems handled immediately and quietly." Marcus didn't know what to say. Rebecca continued. "He told me this morning, and I'm quoting him exactly, 'Marcus needs to face this. I'll be there with him, but I won't make it disappear.' Do you understand what that means?" "Not really," Marcus admitted. "It means this story stays in the news. It means you face consequences. It means the Jordan brand takes a hit. Marcus, do you realize how much this could cost? Every minute this stays public hurts his business empire." Marcus felt something twist in his chest. "How much are we talking?" Michael Jordan makes approximately $18 million per month from Nike alone. The Jordan brand is worth over $6 billion. Every scandal, every negative story, every hint of family trouble affects sales. We're talking potential losses in the millions. "And he won't let you fix it." "He won't let me fix it," Rebecca confirmed. "He said, and again I'm quoting, 'I've spent 40 years protecting an image. Today I protect my son instead.'" Marcus sat down on his couch. His father chose him over the brand, over money, over the perfect image that defined Michael Jordan for 4 decades. "What should I do?" Marcus asked. "Show up at that address your father gave you, 10 o'clock, don't be late." Rebecca paused. "And Marcus, whatever your father has planned, trust him. I've never seen him like this. Something changed in him overnight." The call ended. Marcus looked at the clock. 7:30 a.m. His phone buzzed again. This time a call from his business partner Devin. "Marcus, have you seen the news?" Devin sounded panicked. "Yeah, I've seen it. Our investors are freaking out. 3 of them want to pull funding from Trophy Room. They don't want to be associated with negative press." Marcus closed his eyes. Of course, his arrest didn't just hurt him, it hurt everyone connected to him. "How bad is it?" Marcus asked. "We could lose $800,000 in backing. We'd have to close the Charlotte store immediately. Maybe the others too." Everything Marcus built or tried to build crumbling because of one stupid night, one angry moment, one shove. "I'm sorry, Devin," Marcus whispered. "Sorry doesn't fix this, Marcus. Your last name opens doors, but it also puts targets on your back. Every mistake gets magnified 1,000 times." Devin was right. That was the price of being a Jordan. The privilege came with a spotlight that never turned off. By 8:00 a.m., social media exploded even more. A video surfaced from inside the Vault nightclub. Someone filmed the whole incident on their phone. Marcus watched himself push Cameron Hayes, watched security grab his arms, watched himself yell and struggle. He looked out of control, angry, entitled. Everything he hated about rich kids who thought rules didn't apply to them. The video had 2 million views in 2 hours. Twitter reactions poured in. Michael Jordan's son acting like he owns the place. Typical. "I feel bad for MJ. Must be embarrassing having a son like this. Marcus Jordan needs to grow up. He's 33 acting like he's 13. This is why kids of famous people always fail. Too much privilege, not enough discipline." Marcus wanted to respond to every comment, wanted to explain, wanted to defend himself. But what could he say? The video showed the truth. He did push Cameron. He did yell at security. He did get arrested. At 8:30 a.m., ESPN ran an interview with a sports psychologist named Dr. Helen Martinez. She talked about children of famous athletes and the pressure they face. "These kids grow up in impossible situations," Dr. Martinez explained to the camera. "They're expected to live up to legendary names while also being told to be their own person. It's contradictory and damaging. Many turn to anger, substance abuse, or self-destructive behavior." The host asked, "Is Marcus Jordan a victim of his circumstances?" "He's responsible for his actions," Dr. Martinez said carefully. "But we should also acknowledge the unique pressures he faces. Imagine being judged your entire life against the greatest basketball player ever. Imagine never being good enough no matter what you achieve." Marcus turned off the TV. He didn't want sympathy. He didn't want excuses. He just wanted to stop feeling like a failure. His phone rang again. This time his older brother Jeffrey. "Marcus, you hanging in there?" "Not really," Marcus said honestly. Jeffrey's voice was gentle. "I know how this feels. Remember when I quit the basketball team at Illinois? The media destroyed me, said I couldn't handle the pressure of being Dad's son." "I remember. It hurt, Marcus. It hurt so bad I didn't want to leave my apartment for weeks. But you know what I learned?" "What?" "That being Dad's son is only hard if you're trying to be Dad. Once I stopped trying to be Michael Jordan and just became Jeffrey Jordan, everything got easier." "But how do I do that?" Marcus asked. "Everyone sees the name first. They see Jordan before they see Marcus." "Then show them Marcus is worth seeing. Show them you're more than a last name." They talked for 20 more minutes. Jeffrey told stories about his own struggles, his own failures, his own journey to finding peace with who he was. When they hung up, Marcus felt slightly better. Not good, but better. At 9:00 a.m., Marcus's mother Juanita called one more time. "Baby, have you eaten anything?" "No, Mama." "Eat something, take a shower, put on clean clothes. Your father is planning something important and you need to be ready." "Ready for what?" "For the truth," Juanita said simply. "Your father is finally ready to tell the truth, and so are you." Marcus followed his mother's advice. He ate toast and eggs. He showered. He put on jeans and a simple blue shirt, nothing fancy, nothing with logos, just clothes. At 9:45 a.m., he got in his car and typed the address into his GPS. 2142 Beatties Ford Road, 15 minutes away. As he drove through Charlotte streets, he passed billboards with his father's face on them. Jordan brand shoes, Gatorade, hands underwear. Michael Jordan's image everywhere, selling everything, representing perfection. How could Marcus live up to that? How could anyone? He pulled into the parking lot at 9:58 a.m. The building was small and plain. A worn sign read, "Second Chance Community Center." Second chances. Marcus had never thought about needing one. He always thought success came first try or you failed forever. That's what his father's career taught him, greatness or nothing. But maybe that was wrong. Maybe everyone needed second chances, even Jordan's. Marcus walked to the front door. His hands shook. Through the window, he saw his father sitting in a circle of folding chairs, sitting with teenagers, talking, smiling, looking more relaxed than Marcus had seen him in years. Michael Jordan wasn't in a suit, no expensive watch, no perfectly styled appearance, just his father in jeans and a white t-shirt looking like a regular person. Marcus opened the door and stepped inside. His father looked up and their eyes met, and in that moment Marcus saw something he'd never seen before in his father's face. Not disappointment, not anger, not even pride, just love, pure, simple, unconditional love. "Marcus," Michael said softly, "come sit down. I want you to meet some people, and I want to tell you a story I should have told you a long time ago." Marcus walked forward, not knowing his entire life was about to change. Marcus stood in the doorway of the Second Chance Community Center. The room smelled like coffee and old books. 12 teenagers sat in a circle on metal folding chairs. His father sat among them like he belonged there. A woman with kind eyes and gray hair stood up. She wore a simple purple dress and comfortable shoes. "Marcus, I'm Ms. Patricia Williams. I run this center. Your father has been helping us for 3 years now." Marcus blinked. 3 years? I didn't know that." "Most people don't," Ms. Patricia said with a smile. "Your father asked us to keep it quiet. He didn't want publicity. He just wanted to help." Michael stood and gestured to an empty chair next to him. "Sit down, son. We're in the middle of something important." Marcus sat. The metal chair was cold and uncomfortable. He looked around at the teenagers. They stared back at him with curious eyes. Some looked scared. Others looked tough, like they'd seen hard things in life. A girl with braided hair and sad eyes spoke first. "Mr. Jordan was just telling us about a mistake he made when he was young." Marcus turned to his father. Michael Jordan never talked about mistakes, never admitted weakness. That wasn't how legends acted, but his father looked different today. Softer somehow, more human. "I was telling them about November 1986, Michael said, looking directly at Marcus. "I was 23 years old, playing for the Chicago Bulls. We lost to the Boston Celtics, and I was so angry that I drove recklessly through Chicago." Marcus's eyes widened. He'd never heard this story. Michael continued. "A police officer named Patrick Sullivan pulled me over. I was going 60 miles per hour in a 35 zone. I could have killed someone. I could have killed myself." A teenage boy with a scar on his cheek leaned forward. "What happened? Did you get arrested?" "No," Michael said. "Officer Sullivan gave me mercy. He could have arrested me. He should have arrested me. But instead, he looked at me and said something I never forgot. He said, 'You've got a gift. Don't waste it on stupid choices.'" The room was silent. Even the traffic noise from outside seemed to disappear. Michael looked at each teenager, then at Marcus. "But I did something worse than almost getting arrested. 2 weeks later, my father took me to a boys and girls club in Wilmington, North Carolina. He made me talk to kids about making good choices." "What did you tell them?" asked a girl wearing a basketball jersey. Michael's voice dropped low. "A little boy asked me if I ever messed up, if I ever did something wrong. And I looked at my father, and then I looked at that little boy, and I lied." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "I told those kids I always made good choices, that I never made mistakes, that being Michael Jordan meant being perfect." Michael's eyes filled with water. My father looked at me with such disappointment, not because I almost got arrested, but because I lied to those kids, because I taught them that being human wasn't okay. A boy named Terrell, about 17 years old, raised his hand. "Mr. Jordan, why are you telling us this now?" "Because I spent 40 years being perfect in public, and it was a lie, and that lie hurt people. It hurt my children most of all." Michael looked at Marcus. "My son got arrested 2 nights ago, and instead of being disappointed in him, I'm disappointed in myself." Marcus felt tears forming. "Dad, you don't have to." "Yes, I do," Michael interrupted gently. "I taught you that mistakes equal failure, that being a Jordan meant being perfect, that anything less than greatness was shameful, and I was wrong, Marcus. I was so wrong." Ms. Patricia spoke softly. "Every young person in this room has been arrested at least once. Every single one. They're here because they made mistakes, because they got second chances, because someone believed they could be more than their worst moment." Marcus looked around at the 12 faces. A girl named Jasmine who got caught stealing clothes for her younger siblings. A boy named Devin who got in a fight defending his mother. A girl named Ashley who sold drugs to pay for her grandmother's medicine. All of them made mistakes. All of them faced consequences. All of them were trying to become better. "I'm no different than you," Marcus said quietly. "I pushed someone because I was angry, because I felt like a failure, because I couldn't handle the pressure." Terrell nodded. "At least you're honest about it. Most rich people just make excuses." "I could make excuses," Marcus admitted. "I could say the other guy provoked me. I could say the pressure of my last name made me snap. I could blame 100 things, but the truth is I made a bad choice, and I have to own that." Michael put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "That's the difference between who I was at 23 and who I want to be now. I want to own my mistakes. I want to be honest about being human." Ms. Patricia pulled out a worksheet. "We were just about to do an exercise. Everyone writes down their biggest regret. Then we talk about what we learned from it." She handed papers and pens to everyone, including Michael and Marcus. The room went quiet except for the sound of pens scratching paper. Marcus stared at his blank page. His biggest regret. He had so many. Starting a business he couldn't manage, pushing Cameron Hayes, getting arrested, disappointing his father. But then he thought deeper. His biggest regret was trying to be someone he wasn't, trying to be Michael Jordan instead of Marcus Jordan. He wrote, "I regret spending 33 years trying to be my father instead of discovering who I am." When everyone finished, they went around the circle sharing. Each teenager told their story. Each one spoke with raw honesty about pain, mistakes, and lessons learned. When it was Michael's turn, he read his paper out loud. "I regret lying to those kids in 1986. I regret teaching my children that perfection matters more than truth. I regret protecting an image instead of protecting hearts." His voice cracked on the last word. Michael Jordan, the man who won 6 championships without showing emotion, cried in front of 12 teenagers and his son. Then it was Marcus's turn. He read his words and his voice shook. "I regret spending 33 years trying to be my father instead of discovering who I am." Michael reached over and hugged Marcus. Father and son held each other while the teenagers watched. Some of them cried too. Jasmine wiped her eyes. "Mr. Jordan, if you messed up and became the greatest basketball player ever, does that mean we can still be great?" Michael pulled back from Marcus and looked at the girl. "Yes, that's exactly what it means. One mistake doesn't define you. 10 mistakes don't define you. What defines you is what you do after the mistake." They spent another hour talking, sharing, learning from each other. Marcus listened to stories that made his problems seem small. Kids who had parents in prison, kids who slept in cars, kids who faced real hunger, real violence, real trauma. And yet these kids still had hope, still believed they could change, still showed up every day to be better. When the session ended, Ms. Patricia invited everyone to stay for lunch, but Michael asked Marcus to walk with him instead. They left the building and walked down Beattisford Road. The neighborhood wasn't fancy, small houses, old cars, working people doing their best. They walked for 3 blocks without speaking. Finally, they reached a small park with 2 benches and a rusty swing set. They sat down. Michael pulled an envelope from his pocket, the one with Marcus written on it. "I wrote you a letter last night," Michael said. 8 pages, it took me 3 hours. I want you to read it, but not right now. Later, when you're ready. "What's in it?" Marcus asked. "The truth about who I really am, not the legend, not the brand, just me. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, a man who made mistakes, a man who carried guilt for 38 years, a man who wasn't always a good father because he was too busy being Michael Jordan." Marcus took the envelope. It felt heavy, like it held more than just paper. "Dad, why didn't you come get me right away? Why make me wait? Why bring me here?" Michael looked at the sky. Clouds moved slowly across the blue. "Because I needed time to figure out what kind of father I want to be now. Not the father I've been, the one who fixed everything, who made problems disappear, who protected the image more than the person." "I embarrassed you," Marcus said. "The Jordan brand, everything you built." "No," Michael's voice was firm. "You embarrassed yourself, and that's okay. You know why?" "Why?" "Because you're human. Because mistakes don't define you unless you let them. Because I'd rather have a real son who falls down and learns to get up than a perfect image with nothing real inside." They sat in silence. A bird landed on the swing set and chirped. Somewhere nearby, children laughed and played. "What happens now?" Marcus asked. "The media is destroying me. My business is falling apart. People think I'm just a spoiled rich kid." "Now we tell the truth," Michael said. "Together, no more hiding, no more protecting the image. We tell people that Jordans are human too, that we make mistakes, that we need second chances just like everyone else." "Won't that hurt your legacy?" Michael smiled. "My legacy isn't 6 championships. It's 5 kids who know their father loved them more than trophies. If the world judges me for being human, let them judge. I'm finally free." Marcus felt something break open inside his chest, like a door that had been locked for 33 years finally opened. Light poured in. "I love you, Dad," Marcus said. "I love you too, son. Not because you're perfect. I love you because you're mine." They hugged again. This time, Marcus didn't hold back his tears. He cried for all the years he felt like he wasn't good enough, for all the pressure he carried, for all the times he tried to be someone he wasn't, and his father cried too, for all the times he put basketball before family, for all the times he chose image over truth, for all the years he wasn't the father his children needed. When they finally let go, both men were changed, not fixed, not perfect, just more honest, more real, more human. "Tomorrow we're doing a press conference," Michael said, "at the Second Chance Community Center, you and me together." "What are we going to say?" "The truth, all of it. Are you ready?" Marcus thought about it. A press conference meant more cameras, more judgment, more people picking apart every word. It would be easier to hide, to let his father's lawyers make it all disappear, but easier wasn't better, and hiding wasn't healing. "I'm ready," Marcus said. They walked back to the community center. Ms. Patricia was waiting by the door. "How did it go?" she asked. "Good," Michael said. "Really good. Thank you for letting us use your space." "Anytime, Mr. Jordan. That's what we do here. We give people space to be honest, space to heal, space to become who they're meant to be." Marcus shook her hand. "Can I come back? I want to volunteer here." Ms. Patricia's eyes lit up. "We would love that. These kids need to see that everyone struggles, even people with famous last names." Marcus spent the rest of the afternoon at the center. He played basketball with Terrell and Devin. He helped Jasmine with her math homework. He listened to Ashley talk about her dreams of becoming a nurse. At 5:00 p.m., his father said it was time to go. They had work to do before tomorrow's press conference. As they walked to their cars, Marcus remembered the envelope. "Dad, can I read the letter now?" "Are you ready?" Marcus nodded. "I'm ready." They sat in Michael's rental car. Marcus opened the envelope and unfolded 8 handwritten pages. His father's handwriting covered every inch. The letter started, "Dear Marcus, I need to tell you things I should have told you years ago. I need to be honest about who I really am." Marcus read slowly. Each page revealed something new. Each paragraph showed a different side of his father. The gambling struggles, the guilt over his father's death, the times he failed as a husband, the times he failed as a father. But the letter also showed love, deep, real, imperfect love. The last page said, "I love you not because you're perfect, I love you because you're mine. Tomorrow we tell the truth together. No more hiding, no more protecting the image, just truth. You are enough exactly as you are. You always have been. I'm sorry it took me so long to tell you. Love, Dad." Marcus folded the letter carefully. He couldn't speak, couldn't find words big enough for what he felt. Michael just sat there letting his son process. No pressure, no expectations, just presence. Finally, Marcus whispered, "Thank you." "For what?" "For being real, for being human, for being my dad." They drove to a hotel where Michael had reserved rooms. Tomorrow would be hard. The press conference would be intense. But tonight they had each other. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. Thursday morning arrived with gray clouds covering Charlotte. Marcus woke up at 6:00 a.m. in his hotel room. He hadn't slept well. His mind kept replaying what would happen today. His phone showed 247 text messages, 89 missed calls. His Instagram had 4,000 new comments. Everyone had an opinion about Marcus Jordan. He ignored them all. Today wasn't about what other people thought. Today was about truth. At 7:00 a.m., someone knocked on his door. His father stood there holding 2 cups of coffee and a bag of bagels. "Breakfast?" Michael asked. They sat together eating quietly. The TV played ESPN in the background. A reporter named Rachel Nichols was talking about them. "In 40 years of covering Michael Jordan, I've never seen him handle a controversy this way," Rachel said to the camera. "Usually, problems disappear quickly and quietly. But this time, Jordan is doing something unexpected. He scheduled a press conference at a community center in Charlotte, not at a fancy hotel, not at the Hornets Arena, at a place called Second Chance Community Center." The other host asked, "What do you think that means?" "I think Michael Jordan is finally ready to be human," Rachel answered. "And I think we're about to see a side of him we've never seen before." Michael turned off the TV. "You ready for this?" Marcus set down his coffee. "I'm scared." "Good, that means it matters." Michael looked at his son. "Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway." At 9:00 a.m., they drove to the Second Chance Community Center. News vans already filled the parking lot. Cameras everywhere. Reporters checking their equipment. At least 50 people crowded around the small building. Marcus's hands shook. "Dad, I don't know if I can do this." Michael put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You don't have to do it alone. We're doing it together." They walked inside. Ms. Patricia had set up a simple table with 2 chairs in the main room. Behind the table sat the 12 teenagers from yesterday's group: Terrell, Jasmine, Devin, Ashley, and 8 others. "Why are they here?" Marcus asked. Ms. Patricia smiled. "Because this story isn't just about you and your father. It's about all of us who need second chances." By 1:30 p.m., the room was packed. CNN, ESPN, NBC, ABC, Fox Sports, every major news outlet sent reporters. The small community room meant for 30 people now held at least 70 with cameras lining the walls. Marcus felt sweat on his forehead. His heart pounded. This was real. This was happening. At 2:00 p.m. exactly, Michael and Marcus sat down at the table. Microphones covered the surface. Camera flashes went off like lightning. Michael spoke first. His voice was calm but different from his usual interviews. No practiced smoothness, just raw honesty. "Thank you for coming. I want to start by saying something I should have said 30 years ago." He paused and looked directly at the cameras. "I'm not perfect. I never was. And I'm sorry for letting young people believe they had to be." The room went completely silent. Pens stopped moving. Cameras stopped clicking. Everyone leaned forward. Michael continued. "In 1986, when I was 23 years old, I was stopped by police in Chicago for reckless driving. I was going 60 miles per hour in a 35 zone. I was angry after a loss and I made a dangerous choice." Reporters started typing frantically on their laptops. This was new information. This was real news. "A police officer named Patrick Sullivan could have arrested me that night. He should have arrested me, but he showed me mercy instead. He gave me a second chance." Michael's voice grew stronger. "I never publicly thanked him for that. I never told young people I made that mistake because I was protecting my image." A reporter from ESPN raised his hand. "Mr. Jordan, why reveal this now?" "Because I spent 40 years building a brand. I built it on excellence, on winning, on being the best. But I didn't build it on truth, and that was wrong." Michael looked at Marcus. "Because excellence without truth is just an expensive lie." More cameras flashed. More reporters typed. This wasn't the Michael Jordan they knew. This was someone different, someone real. "My son made a mistake on Tuesday night. He pushed someone in anger. He got arrested, and I'm proud of him." A reporter from CNN interrupted. "You're proud he got arrested?" "No," Michael said clearly. "I'm proud of what he did after. He didn't call my lawyers first. He didn't demand special treatment. He sat in that jail cell and thought about who he wants to be. That takes courage." Now it was Marcus's turn. He pulled the microphone closer. His hand still shook, but his voice came out steady. "I've spent my whole life trying to be Michael Jordan's son. Not Marcus Jordan, not my own person, just the son of a legend." He looked at his father, then back at the reporters. "And I was angry about that. Angry that nothing I did was ever just mine. Even my mistakes weren't mine. They were embarrassments to my father's name." He took a deep breath. "But this week I learned something. My dad isn't who I thought he was. He's not perfect. He never was. And that makes him a better father. Not a worse one, a better one." The 12 teenagers behind them started clapping, slowly at first, then louder. Then Ms. Patricia joined, then some of the reporters. Within seconds, the entire room erupted in applause. Marcus felt tears on his face. He didn't wipe them away. Let people see. Let them know Marcus Jordan was human. A reporter from Fox Sports stood up. "Michael, how will this affect the Jordan brand? Your empire is built on perfection." Michael smiled, a real smile, not his commercial smile. "I don't care." The room gasped. Michael Jordan saying he doesn't care about his brand. Impossible. "Let me be clear," Michael corrected. "I care more about my son than my brand. I care more about these kids behind me getting second chances than I care about selling shoes." He gestured to Terrell, Jasmine, and the others. "I've made enough money. I've won enough championships. What I haven't done enough is tell the truth about being human, about making mistakes, about needing help, about being scared sometimes." Another reporter called out, "What about your investors, your shareholders? Don't they deserve protection?" "They deserve honesty," Michael said firmly. "And honestly, I'm tired of being perfect. I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of teaching young people that mistakes equal failure. Marcus spoke again. We're starting something new. The Second Chance Jordan Foundation. It'll help young people who have made mistakes get the support they need: counseling, education, job training, legal help. Michael added, we're donating $10 million to start. And every year, a portion of Jordan brand profits will support kids who need second chances. Because if Officer Sullivan gave me a second chance in 1986, I owe it to the world to pass that forward. A reporter from the Charlotte Observer raised her hand. Marcus, what do you say to people who think you're just a spoiled rich kid who's getting away with assault? Marcus looked directly at the camera. I say you're partly right. I am privileged. I do have advantages most people don't have, and I took that for granted. But I'm not getting away with anything. I'm facing my charges in court. I'm doing community service. I'm taking anger management classes. And I'm working at Second Chance Community Center to help other kids who made mistakes like I did. Why the community center specifically? Another reporter asked. Ms. Patricia stood up. Because that's where real change happens. Not in fancy offices or courtrooms, but in small rooms where people sit in circles and tell the truth about their lives. Terrell, the 17-year-old, also stood. Mr. Jordan and Marcus came here because they wanted to be real. They didn't want special treatment. They wanted to be treated like the rest of us, like humans who mess up sometimes. Jasmine stood too. Most famous people just write a check and leave, but Mr. Jordan sat with us, cried with us, told us his secrets. That means something. One by one, all 12 teenagers stood. They formed a line behind Michael and Marcus, a united front. A reporter from NBC asked the question everyone was thinking. Michael, aren't you worried this will destroy your legacy? Everything you built over 40 years. Michael stood up. He looked at the reporters, at the cameras, at the world watching. My legacy isn't 6 championships. My legacy isn't shoes or commercials or being the greatest basketball player. His voice filled the room. My legacy is 5 kids who know their father loved them more than trophies. My legacy is being honest when it's hard. My legacy is showing people that being human is more important than being perfect. He put his arm around Marcus. If the world judges me for admitting I made mistakes, let them judge. If people stop buying shoes because I'm honest about struggling, so be it. I'm 61 years old. I'm finally free to be myself, and I'm not giving that up for anything. The room erupted again. Some reporters clapped. Some wiped their eyes. This press conference was supposed to be about damage control. Instead, it became something else entirely. Something revolutionary. Something that would change how people saw Michael Jordan forever. A young reporter from a local Charlotte station asked one final question. What do you want people to remember from today? Michael looked at Marcus, then at the 12 teenagers, then back at the cameras. I want people to remember that second chances aren't just for people who make mistakes. Second chances are also for people who think they have to be perfect. His voice cracked with emotion. I got a second chance today, a second chance to be a real father instead of a perfect icon. And that second chance saved my relationship with my son. Marcus stood and hugged his father, right there in front of 70 reporters and millions of people watching live. Father and son, not legend and failure, just 2 humans loving each other. The press conference ended at 3:15 p.m., but the impact was just beginning. Within an hour, the story trended #1 on Twitter. Second Chance Jordan spread across social media. Millions of people shared clips of Michael admitting his mistakes, of Marcus being vulnerable, of 12 teenagers standing behind them. But one question remained, one revelation still hidden. What did Michael Jordan do in those 6 hours between getting the phone call and arriving in Charlotte? That story was about to be told. After the press conference ended, most reporters left quickly. They rushed to file their stories to be first with the news. But one man stayed behind. David Chen from the Charlotte Observer sat patiently in the corner. He was 52 years old with gray hair and glasses that always slipped down his nose. He'd been a reporter for 30 years and knew when a story had more layers. As Michael and Marcus prepared to leave, David approached them. "Mr. Jordan, I need to ask you something. Something that doesn't add up." Michael turned. "What's that?" David pulled out a small notebook. "I've been investigating your movements Tuesday night. You got the call about Marcus at 11:47 p.m. from the Charlotte police, but you didn't arrive in Charlotte until 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. That's almost 10 hours. Marcus looked at his father. He'd wondered about this too, but was afraid to ask. David continued, "Your private jet can make the flight from Jupiter, Florida to Charlotte in 90 minutes. Even with prep time, you should have been here by 2:00 a.m. So where were you for those extra 7 or 8 hours?" The room went quiet. Ms. Patricia stopped cleaning up chairs. The few remaining reporters turned to listen. Michael looked at Marcus. "Should I tell him?" Marcus nodded slowly. "People should know the truth, all of it." Michael sat back down at the table. David pulled up a chair. Marcus sat too, curious about what his father would reveal. "Can I record this?" David asked, holding up his phone. "Yes," Michael said. "I want people to hear this. Write your story, publish it. I'm done hiding." David pressed record and set the phone on the table between them. Michael began. "When I got that call about Marcus at 11:47 p.m., my first instinct was to do what I always do. Fix the problem, protect the brand, make it disappear." "But you didn't," David said. "No, I picked up my phone to call my lawyer, Rebecca Thompson. My finger was literally on her name, then I stopped." "Why?" Michael's eyes grew distant, like he was back in that moment. "I thought about my father, James Jordan. He was murdered in July 1993 at a highway rest stop in Lumberton, North Carolina." Everyone in the room knew this story. It had been international news. 2 men shot James Jordan during a robbery. They were caught because James's body was found wearing Michael's NBA championship ring. "I've carried guilt about my father's death for 31 years, Michael said quietly. "I gave him expensive jewelry. I made him a target. I couldn't protect him." Marcus reached over and held his father's hand. He'd never heard his father talk about this so openly. "After Dad died, I retired from basketball. Played minor league baseball for the Birmingham Barons in 1994. Everyone thought it was grief. Some thought it was strange. A few people even said the NBA secretly suspended me for gambling." David leaned forward. This was new information. "But the real reason was guilt and fear," Michael continued. "Guilt that my fame killed my father. Fear that I'd fail my own children the same way. Fear that being Michael Jordan would destroy everyone I loved." "So when Marcus got arrested," David said carefully, "what did you feel?" "Terror, not because he was in jail, but because I thought I failed him like I failed my father. I made him carry the weight of my name and it crushed him." Michael's voice broke. "I thought my need to be perfect, to be Michael Jordan, had damaged my son beyond repair." Marcus squeezed his father's hand tighter. "So instead of rushing to Charlotte," Michael said, "I spent those 6 hours doing something different, something I should have done years ago." "What did you do?" David asked. Michael pulled out his phone and opened his call log. "I made phone calls, not to lawyers, not to PR people, not to anyone who would make this go away. I called people from my past, people who mattered." He showed David the screen. "First call 1:15 a.m. to Springfield, Illinois. Patrick Sullivan. the police officer who gave me mercy in 1986. David's eyes widened. You found him after all these years. Directory assistance, Michael said with a small smile. I woke him up at 1:15 in the morning. He's 72 now, retired, and runs a youth mentorship program. What did you say to him? I thanked him. For the first time in 38 years, I properly thanked him for saving my life that night, for showing me that mercy matters more than punishment. Michael scrolled through his call log. Second call, 1:47 a.m. My ex-wife, Juanita, Marcus's mother. I told her I needed to stop protecting the image and start protecting our son's soul. What did she say? She said, it's about time. Michael smiled at the memory. She's been telling me for years to be more honest with our kids, but I didn't listen. I thought protecting them meant protecting them from knowing I was flawed. Third call, 2:10 a.m. My son Jeffrey. I asked him to tell me about times I failed as a father. Marcus looked surprised. You did? Michael nodded. Jeffrey told me I missed his college graduation for a golf tournament. He said that hurt more than anything because it showed him golf mattered more than his accomplishment. Fourth call, 2:35 a.m. My daughter Jasmine. She told me I never asked about her art, only about her grades. She said she felt like I only valued achievement, not creativity or passion. Michael's voice grew thick with emotion. Fifth call, 3:02 a.m. Victoria. She said I made everything a competition, even family dinners. She said she stopped enjoying things because I always pushed her to be better instead of just letting her be. Sixth call, 3:28 a.m. Usable, my youngest. She's only 10. She said sometimes she felt like she had to be perfect or I wouldn't love her. A tear rolled down Michael's cheek. My 10-year-old daughter is already afraid of disappointing me. The room was completely silent except for Michael's voice. Each conversation was a knife in my heart, Michael said. But I needed to hear it. I needed to understand how my obsession with perfection hurt the people I love most. David wrote quickly in his notebook. How long did these calls take? About 3 hours total, then I did something else. Michael looked at Marcus. I sat down and wrote that 8-page letter to Marcus. It took me 3 hours. Every word mattered. Every sentence needed to be true. What was in the letter? David asked. Marcus answered. Everything, his mistakes, his guilt about Grandpa James, his gambling struggles, times he failed as a husband and father, and his love for me, real, imperfect love. Michael continued. My 7th call was at 6:45 a.m. Ms. Patricia Williams at this community center. I've been quietly donating here for 3 years, but I'd never actually visited. I asked if I could bring Marcus, if she could help him see that mistakes don't end stories, they begin them. Ms. Patricia spoke up from across the room. I told him we'd be honored. That's what we do here every day. We show kids they're more than their worst moments. My 8th and final call, Michael said, was to Rebecca Thompson, my lawyer. I told her not to make this disappear, that Marcus needed to face this, that I needed to face who I've been as a father. David looked at his notes. So you spent 6 hours making phone calls, writing a letter, and reflecting on your life. Yes. Why not just get on the plane and deal with it when you got here? Michael looked directly at David. Because if I got on that plane immediately, I would have arrived as Michael Jordan, the legend who fixes problems, who protects the brand, who makes everything perfect. But Marcus didn't need Michael Jordan. He needed his father, his real father, the flawed, imperfect man who makes mistakes. I needed those 6 hours to stop being the person the world expects me to be and become the person my son needs me to be. David sat back in his chair. That's incredible. That's the real story, isn't it? Not the arrest, not the press conference, but those 6 hours where Michael Jordan chose to be human. Yes, Michael said simply. Can I publish this? Everything you just told me? Please do. I want people to know. I want other fathers to know they don't have to be perfect. I want other kids to know their parents struggle too. David stood and shook Michael's hand. This will run Sunday morning, front page. Thank you, Michael said. After David left, Marcus turned to his father. Dad, I had no idea you went through all that. I thought you were just busy or didn't care enough to come immediately. I cared too much to come immediately, Michael said. I cared enough to do it right instead of doing it fast. They sat together in the quiet community center. Outside, the sun was setting. Orange and pink light filled the windows. Ms. Patricia brought them bottles of water. You two did something powerful today, not just the press conference, but the honesty, the vulnerability. That's what changes lives. Terrell walked over, still wearing his basketball jersey. Mr. Jordan, can I ask you something? Of course. When you were making all those calls at 3 in the morning, were you scared? Michael thought about it, terrified, because I knew once I started telling the truth, I couldn't go back to the lie. Once I admitted I wasn't perfect, I couldn't pretend to be perfect anymore. But you did it anyway. I did it anyway, because some things are more important than being comfortable, like being a good father, like being honest, like being free. Terrell nodded slowly. I want to be like that when I grow up, brave enough to tell the truth even when it's scary. You already are, Michael said. You're here, aren't you? You're doing the work, that's brave. As the evening darkened, people slowly left the center. The teenagers went home to their families. Ms. Patricia locked up the building. Soon, only Michael and Marcus remained in the parking lot. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we live differently, Michael said. We stop pretending. We stop trying to be perfect. We just try to be real. What about tomorrow, next week, the rest of our lives? Michael smiled. We take it one day at a time. We make mistakes and learn from them. We help other people who are struggling. We build lives based on truth instead of image. They drove to their hotel in separate cars. Marcus turned on the radio. Every station was talking about the press conference, about Michael Jordan's shocking honesty, about Marcus's vulnerability, about the Second Chance Jordan Foundation. Some people praised them. Some people criticized them. Some people didn't know what to think, but Marcus didn't care anymore. He wasn't trying to please everyone. He was trying to be himself. At the hotel, Marcus took a long shower. He stood under the hot water and let everything wash over him. The arrest, the press conference, his father's revelations, the 6 hours that changed everything. When he got out, he saw a text from his brother Jeffrey, "Proud of you, little brother. You were brave today." Another from his mother Juanita, "You and your father did something beautiful. I love you both so much." Another from Devin, his business partner, "Saw the press conference. I understand now. Let's talk tomorrow about moving forward differently." Marcus fell asleep at 10:00 p.m. For the first time in weeks, he slept deeply. No nightmares, no anxiety, just rest. In the room next door, Michael Jordan also slept peacefully. After 40 years of protecting a perfect image, he was finally free to be imperfect. And that freedom felt better than any championship ever had. 2 weeks passed like water flowing downstream. Slow at first, then faster as everything changed. The article David Chen wrote published on Sunday morning, March 24th, 2024. The headline stretched across the entire front page of the Charlotte Observer. Michael Jordan's greatest comeback, choosing fatherhood over fame. The story went viral immediately. Within 3 hours, it was shared over 2 million times on social media. People magazine picked it up, Time magazine, the New York Times. CNN ran segments about it all day. But more importantly, regular people read it and felt something shift inside themselves. Fathers called their children to apologize for being too hard on them. Mothers admitted they didn't have all the answers. Kids told their parents about mistakes they'd been hiding. The truth created space for more truth. Marcus woke up Monday morning knowing today was his court date. He put on a simple gray suit, not expensive, not flashy, just clean and respectful. His father met him in the hotel lobby at 8:00 a.m. Michael wore a suit too, but he looked different somehow. Lighter, like a heavy backpack had been taken off his shoulders. "You ready?" Michael asked. "As ready as I'll ever be," Marcus answered. They drove to the Mecklenburg County Courthouse on East 4th Street, the same building where Marcus had been processed 2 weeks earlier. Now he was returning to face Judge Margaret Morrison. The courtroom was smaller than Marcus expected. Wood panels on the walls, an American flag in the corner, about 30 seats for people watching. Half of them were filled with reporters. Cameron Hayes sat in the front row with his lawyer. When Cameron saw Marcus, something unexpected happened. He stood up and walked over. "Marcus, can we talk for a minute?" Cameron asked. They stepped into the hallway. Michael stayed close but gave them space. "I wanted to apologize," Cameron said. His voice was quiet. "I said things that night to hurt you. I was jealous of your life, your name, your opportunities. I pushed your buttons on purpose." Marcus took a deep breath. "I'm sorry too. I shouldn't have pushed you. I let my anger control me." "I don't want to press charges anymore," Cameron said. "I talked to the prosecutor. I told them I provoked the situation. I want to drop everything." Marcus felt relief wash through him. "Thank you, Cameron. That means a lot." "Your press conference changed something in me," Cameron admitted. "Watching you and your dad be so honest made me realize I've been bitter for years, comparing myself to other people, feeling like I never got breaks. But the truth is, I've had plenty of breaks. I just didn't appreciate them." They shook hands, not as enemies, as two men who both made mistakes and were trying to be better. At 9:00 a.m., court began. Judge Margaret Morrison entered wearing her black robe. She was a black woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense expression. She'd been a judge for 12 years and had seen every kind of case. "The state of North Carolina versus Marcus James Jordan," the bailiff announced. Marcus stood with his lawyer. His heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. The prosecutor, a young woman named Lisa Chen, spoke first. "Your Honor, Mr. Hayes has decided not to press charges. However, the state still has concerns about the disturbance at the Vault nightclub." Judge Morrison looked at Marcus, really looked at him. Mr. Jordan approached the bench. Marcus walked forward. His legs felt weak. "I've read about your case in the newspapers," Judge Morrison said. "I watched your press conference with your father. I'm impressed by your honesty, but honesty doesn't erase what happened." "I know, Your Honor," Marcus said quietly. "The prosecutor has offered you a plea deal, community service, anger management classes, and a fine. You could accept that and walk out of here today with a slap on the wrist. This would disappear from the news by tomorrow." Marcus nodded. "Yes, Your Honor." Judge Morrison leaned back in her chair. "But I'm going to give you a choice, a different option." Marcus's lawyer looked confused. This wasn't standard procedure. "We have a program called restorative justice," Judge Morrison explained. "It means meeting with Mr. Hayes in mediation, sitting face to face, talking about what happened and why. It means 200 hours of real community service, not just showing up for photos, but actual work helping others. It means being accountable in a deeper way." She looked directly into Marcus's eyes. "It's harder than the plea deal. It takes longer. It requires more of you, but it's also more real, More meaningful. What do you choose? The courtroom went silent. Every reporter leaned forward. Michael sat in the back row, watching but not interfering. This was Marcus's decision. Marcus thought about the teenagers at Second Chance Community Center. He thought about Terrell, Jasmine, and Ashley. He thought about Isaiah, the young man who sat next to him in jail for stealing food for his sister. He thought about his father's letter, about the 8 pages of truth that changed everything. "Your Honor," Marcus said, his voice clear and strong, "I choose the restorative justice program. I don't want the easy way, I want the real way." Judge Morrison smiled, a small, genuine smile. "That's the first truly wise thing I've heard you say, Mr. Jordan. Motion granted." She banged her gavel. "We'll schedule your mediation with Mr. Hayes for next week. You'll report to Second Chance Community Center for your community service hours. Ms. Patricia Williams will supervise your work." Court dismissed. Marcus walked out of the courtroom feeling different. Not relieved exactly, but purposeful, like his life finally had direction. Outside, reporters surrounded him. Questions flew from every direction. "Marcus, why did you choose the harder path? What made you turn down the easy plea deal? Are you doing this because of your father?" Marcus held up his hand. "I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do, not the easy thing, the right thing. I want to earn my second chance, not buy it." Michael stood beside him, saying nothing, just being present, being proud. Over the next 3 months, Marcus's life transformed completely. Week 1, he met with Cameron Hayes for mediation. They sat in a small room with a counselor named Dr. Raymond Foster. For 2 hours, they talked honestly about that night, about jealousy, about pressure, about being compared to successful people. Cameron admitted he felt like a failure compared to Marcus's opportunities. Marcus admitted he felt like a failure compared to his father's legacy. By the end, they understood each other. They weren't friends, but they weren't enemies either. Just 2 men who made mistakes and chose to learn from them. Week 2, Marcus started his 200 hours at Second Chance Community Center. He showed up Monday through Friday 2:00 p.m. to 6:00 p.m. No cameras, no publicity, just work. He tutored kids in math. He coached basketball. He helped with homework. He listened to stories that broke his heart and inspired him at the same time. Terrell struggled with algebra. Marcus spent 3 afternoons helping him understand equations. When Terrell finally got it, his smile was worth more than any business deal. Jasmine wanted to learn about running a business. Marcus taught her about budgets, inventory, and customer service. He shared his mistakes with Trophy Room, the overspending, the poor planning, the pride that blinded him to reality. "Learning what not to do is just as important as learning what to do," Marcus told her. Week 4, Marcus made a major decision about his business. He called Devin for a meeting. They sat in Marcus's apartment, the same place where their argument started this whole journey. "I'm closing 2 Trophy Room locations," Marcus said. "The ones that are losing money. We can't keep bleeding cash trying to prove something." Devin nodded. "That's smart. What about the Charlotte store?" "I want to do something different with it," Marcus said. He pulled out drawings he'd sketched. "I want to renovate it, make half the space a regular store, but the other half becomes a free community space for second chance kids." He showed Devin the plans. They can come hang out after school, do homework, learn about business, feel safe. No judgment, no pressure, just support. Devin studied the drawings. "This will cost about $200,000 to renovate, and you'll lose half your retail space. That's less profit." "I know," Marcus said, "but profit isn't the only thing that matters. I'd rather make less money and actually help people than make more money and feel empty inside." Devin smiled. "I'm in, let's do it." Week 6, the renovation began. Marcus worked alongside the construction crew. He painted walls, he moved furniture, he got his hands dirty. News crews came to film it. Marcus did interviews explaining his vision. "This isn't charity," he told one reporter. "This is investment. Investment in kids who need someone to believe in them. If one person from Second Chance becomes successful because we gave them space to grow, this whole thing was worth it." Week 8, Marcus attended his first anger management class. 12 people sat in a circle: construction workers, teachers, nurses, and one former NBA player's son. The counselor, Ms. Angela Price, asked everyone to share what brought them there. When Marcus's turn came, he told the truth. "I spent 33 years angry at myself for not being my father. That anger leaked out in other ways, at business partners, at strangers in nightclubs, at anyone who reminded me I wasn't good enough." "And now," Ms. Price asked, "now I'm learning that being enough doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest, being real, being willing to grow." Week 10, the Second Chance Jordan Foundation officially launched. Michael donated the initial $10 million, but hundreds of regular people donated too. $20 here, $50 there, teachers, nurses, single parents who believed in second chances. The foundation partnered with 15 community centers across the country, not just in big cities. Small towns too, places where kids needed help but resources were limited. They funded counseling services, job training programs, legal help for young people facing charges, educational scholarships for kids with criminal records who wanted to go to college. Week 12, Marcus finished his 200 hours of community service. Ms. Patricia held a small celebration at the center with cake and juice. "You came here as someone who needed help," Ms. Patricia told Marcus. "You're leaving as someone who gives help. That's transformation." Terrell presented Marcus with a hand-drawn card. Inside it said, "Thank you for showing me that mistakes don't define us. You're my hero not because you're perfect, but because you're real." Marcus cried reading it. He wasn't ashamed, he just felt grateful. But the most important moment came that evening. Marcus drove to his father's house in Charlotte, the mansion Michael bought when he purchased the Hornets. They sat on the back patio watching the sunset. Orange and purple clouds stretched across the sky. "I'm proud of you, Marcus," Michael said. "Thanks, Dad. Not because you finished your community service, not because you handled this well. I'm proud because you chose the hard path when the easy one was right there." Marcus looked at his father. "You taught me that. 2 weeks ago at Second Chance, you chose truth over image. You chose being real over being comfortable. I just followed your example." Michael smiled. "We taught each other that's what family does. We grow together." They sat in comfortable silence as the sun disappeared below the horizon. Two men, father and son, legend and learner, teacher and student, both imperfect, both trying, both free. Marcus thought about everything that happened since that Tuesday night in March. The arrest, the jail cell, the press conference, the court date, the choice. He used to think his life was defined by his last name, by being Michael Jordan's son, by living in an impossible shadow. But now he understood something different. His life wasn't defined by his name. It was defined by his choices, and he chose growth over comfort, truth over image, help over pride. That night Marcus slept peacefully. Tomorrow he would return to Second Chance, not for required hours, but as a volunteer, because the kids there needed him. And honestly, he needed them too. The story of Marcus Jordan's arrest could have ended in shame. Instead, it began something beautiful, a foundation that would help thousands. A father-son relationship healed by honesty, a community strengthened by vulnerability, and one young man finally free to be himself. 6 months passed like pages turning in a book. Each day wrote a new story. Each week added another chapter to Marcus's transformation. It was now September 2024. The summer heat had faded into cool autumn breezes. Trees in Charlotte started showing hints of orange and gold. Marcus stood inside the renovated trophy room store on South Boulevard. Half the space still sold sneakers, limited editions, classic Jordans, collectible items, but the other half looked completely different. Comfortable couches, study tables, computers, bookshelves filled with stories about entrepreneurs, athletes, and people who overcame obstacles. A small kitchen area with snacks and drinks all free. The sign above this section read, "The Second Chance Space." Today was the grand opening. Marcus wore jeans and a simple black shirt. No logos, no designer brands, just clothes. Ms. Patricia arrived first, carrying a box of supplies, notebooks, pens, art supplies donated by local businesses. "Marcus, this place is beautiful. You really did it." "We did it," Marcus corrected. "None of this happens without Second Chance Community Center teaching me what real help looks like." By 10:00 a.m., the space filled with people. Terrell came with his younger brother. Jasmine brought 3 friends from school. Ashley arrived with her grandmother, the woman she tried to help by selling drugs months ago. Devin Mitchell, Marcus's business partner, cut the ribbon officially opening the Second Chance space. But he handed the scissors to Terrell. "You should do the honors," Devin said. "This space exists because kids like you inspired Marcus to change." Terrell's hands shook as he cut the ribbon. Everyone clapped. Camera flashes went off. Local news covered the event, but it wasn't about publicity. It was about purpose. A reporter from WBTV Charlotte asked Marcus, "How does this feel compared to opening your other stores?" Marcus thought carefully. "My other stores were about proving something. Proving I could succeed without my father's help. Proving I was good enough. But this space is about providing something. Providing a place where kids know they're already good enough exactly as they are." Michael Jordan arrived at 11:00 a.m. He slipped in quietly, not wanting attention, but kids recognized him immediately. Within seconds, 30 teenagers surrounded him asking for autographs and photos. Michael smiled, genuinely smiled, and took time with each person. He asked their names, asked about their dreams, listened like their answers mattered. One girl, about 15 years old, asked him, "Mr. Jordan, is it true you got in trouble with the police when you were young?" Michael knelt down to her eye level. "Yes, it's true. I made a dangerous choice driving too fast after a basketball game. A police officer could have arrested me but showed me mercy instead." "What did you learn?" the girl asked. "That mercy is more powerful than punishment. That second chances can change lives. That being honest about mistakes helps other people feel less alone." The girl hugged him. "Thank you for being real." After the crowd thinned, Michael found Marcus organizing books on a shelf. "This is impressive, son," Michael said. "Thanks, Dad. Come see the mentorship area." Marcus led his father to a corner with 6 desks set up facing each other. Local business owners volunteer here twice a week. They teach kids about starting companies, managing money, building credit, all that stuff. "Whose idea was this?" Michael asked. "Jasmine's. She said kids from her neighborhood never meet successful business people. They don't know it's possible, so we're creating those connections." Michael put his hand on Marcus's shoulder. "You found your purpose." "I think so," Marcus agreed. Trophy Room was always about shoes, but this is about souls, about helping kids see possibilities they didn't know existed. That afternoon, the first mentorship session began. 6 kids sat at the desks. 6 business owners sat across from them. Marcus watched from the side as conversation started. One mentor, a woman named Carol who owned 3 restaurants, talked with a 16-year-old boy named James. "What do you want to do with your life?" Carol asked. James shrugged. "I don't know. Nobody in my family graduated high school. I'm probably gonna drop out too." "Why?" Carol asked gently. "Because school is hard, and I'm not smart like other kids." Carol leaned forward. Can I tell you something? I dropped out of high school when I was 17. I thought I was too dumb to finish. James looked surprised. Really? Really? I worked at a fast food restaurant for 5 years, hated every day. Then one day a manager told me I was smart enough to do more. She helped me get my GED, then community college, then culinary school. Now I own 3 restaurants and employ 42 people. So I can still make it, James asked quietly. You can absolutely make it, but you have to believe it first. Marcus watched this conversation and felt something warm spread through his chest. This was why the space existed. Not for publicity, not for profit, for moments like this where hope replaced doubt. At 3:00 p.m., Marcus's mother Juanita visited. She hadn't seen the renovated store yet. She walked through slowly, touching the couches, reading the book titles, looking at the photos on the walls, pictures of Michael Jordan, but also pictures of regular people who overcame struggles. "Baby, this is beautiful," Juanita said, hugging Marcus tight. "I'm so proud of the man you've become." "I had good teachers," Marcus said. "Your father and I made plenty of mistakes raising you kids," Juanita admitted. "We put too much pressure on you, expected too much, didn't always let you just be children. You did your best, Mama. Our best wasn't always good enough, but I'm grateful you're breaking those patterns. You're showing kids they don't have to be perfect, just persistent." They sat together on one of the couches. Through the window, Marcus could see people walking past, some stopping to look at the sign. The second chance space. "Are you happy?" Juanita asked her son. Marcus thought about it. 6 months ago, happiness felt impossible. 6 months ago, he sat in a jail cell thinking his life was over, thinking he'd failed his father, failed himself, failed everyone. "Yeah, Mama, I'm happy. Not because everything is perfect, but because everything is real." That evening, after everyone left, Marcus sat alone in the second chance space. He thought about the journey from that Tuesday night in March to this September afternoon. The arrest changed everything, but not the way he expected. It didn't ruin him, it rebuilt him. It didn't end his story. It began his real story. His phone buzzed. A text from Officer Jennifer Martinez, the police officer who arrested him 6 months ago. "Saw the news about your space. Proud of you, Marcus. You took responsibility and turned it into something positive. That's character." Marcus smiled and typed back, "Thank you for treating me fairly that night. You did your job with respect and dignity. That mattered." Another text came in, this one from Cameron Hayes. "Hey Marcus, I'm starting a conflict resolution program at my gym, teaching people to handle anger better. Your journey inspired me. Thanks for being honest about your struggles." Marcus replied, "That's amazing, Cameron. Let me know if the foundation can support your program." People were changing, not just Marcus, but people around him. His honesty created permission for others to be honest too. At 8:00 p.m., Marcus locked up the store and drove to Second Chance Community Center. Tuesday nights were group counseling sessions. He still attended even though his court-ordered requirements ended months ago. 12 people sat in the familiar circle, some faces he knew, some were new. Ms. Patricia started the session. Tonight's topic is forgiveness. Not forgiving others. That's important, but we've covered it. Tonight we're talking about forgiving ourselves. She looked around the circle. Who wants to share something they haven't forgiven themselves for? A woman named Linda spoke first. "I haven't forgiven myself for getting addicted to pain pills after my surgery. I lost custody of my kids for 2 years because of that addiction." A man named Robert went next. "I haven't forgiven myself for stealing from my mother to buy drugs. She died before I could pay her back." One by one, people shared their deepest regrets, their heaviest guilt, their hardest truths. When it was Marcus's turn, he spoke honestly. I haven't fully forgiven myself for wasting 33 years trying to be someone else. For all the time I lost being angry and resentful instead of grateful and purposeful. Ms. Patricia asked, "What would forgiving yourself look like?" Marcus thought carefully. It would mean accepting that those 33 years weren't wasted. They were preparation. Everything I went through, the pressure, the failure, the arrest, all of it prepared me for this moment, for this purpose. "So you can forgive yourself?" Ms. Patricia asked. "I'm learning too," Marcus said. "Every day, I'm learning to let go of who I thought I should be and accept who I actually am." After the session, Terrell walked over. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "Always." "Do you ever regret that night? Getting arrested? All the embarrassment and media coverage?" Marcus considered the question honestly. Did he regret it? 6 months ago, I would have said yes. I would have given anything to erase that night. But now, he looked at Terrell, now I see it differently. That night wasn't the worst thing that happened to me. It was the wake-up call I needed. "So you're glad it happened?" "I'm grateful for what it taught me. I'm grateful it forced me to stop running from the truth. I'm grateful it brought me here to this work, to these people, to this purpose." Terrell smiled. "That's deep, man, real deep." They walked outside together. The September night was cool and clear. Stars filled the sky like tiny diamonds scattered across black velvet. "You know what's crazy?" Terrell said. 6 months ago, I thought my life was over. I got arrested for fighting at school. Thought I'd never graduate, never go to college, never be anything." "What changed?" Marcus asked. "You and your dad. Watching you two be honest about messing up made me realize my mistakes don't have to define me. Now I'm getting straight A's. I got accepted to 3 colleges. I'm even tutoring other kids at Second Chance." Marcus felt his eyes water. "Terrell, that's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I wouldn't be here without you, without this place, without people believing I could change." They hugged, a real hug between two people who understood each other's struggles. Marcus drove home that night feeling something he'd never felt before. Not pride in accomplishments, not relief from pressure, but contentment with purpose. His apartment looked the same as 6 months ago, same furniture, same view, same space. But everything felt different because he was different. He opened his laptop and checked the Second Chance Jordan Foundation website. The numbers showed their impact. 847 young people receiving counseling services. 312 kids enrolled in job training programs. 129 scholarships awarded to students with criminal records. 23 community centers partnered across 15 states. $42 million raised from donations. But the numbers didn't tell the whole story. Behind each statistic was a person, a kid who needed help, a family struggling, a dream that needed support. Marcus opened his journal, something his therapist suggested months ago. He wrote, "September 15, 2024, 6 months since the arrest, 6 months since everything changed. I used to think being Marcus Jordan meant living in my father's shadow. Now I know being Marcus Jordan means creating my own light. Dad taught me that mistakes don't define us, our response to them does. I'm finally free to be myself, and myself is enough." He closed the journal and looked at the photo on his desk, him and his father at the press conference, hugging, both of them crying, both of them real. That moment changed everything, not because it was perfect, but because it was honest. Marcus's phone rang. His father's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, Dad." "Hey, son, just calling to say I'm proud of you. The space looks incredible." "Thanks, it feels good, feels right." "It is right, you found your calling." They talked for 20 minutes about the foundation, about upcoming projects, about life. When they hung up, Marcus felt grateful, grateful for second chances, grateful for truth, grateful for freedom. Tomorrow he would wake up and keep building, keep helping, keep growing. But tonight he rested knowing he was exactly where he needed to be, finally himself, finally free, finally home. August 2024 arrived with thick summer heat. Charlotte felt like a sauna, the kind of heat that made the air shimmer above parking lots. The Second Chance Jordan Foundation was hosting its first major fundraising gala, not in some hotel ballroom. At the Spectrum Center, the arena where Michael's Charlotte Hornets played basketball. Marcus spent the entire week preparing. He wanted everything perfect, but not for show. Perfect because 500 people were coming to support kids who needed help. The gala theme was simple: everyone deserves a second chance. By 6:00 p.m. on August 17th, guests started arriving. Business leaders in expensive suits, teachers in their best dresses, community workers who saved for months to afford tickets, former NBA players, local politicians, and most importantly, 50 teenagers from Second Chance Community Center programs across the country. Marcus stood at the entrance greeting everyone. He wore a simple black suit with a blue tie, his father's favorite color. No flashy jewelry. No expensive watch, just clean and respectful. Terrell arrived wearing his first suit ever. Ms. Patricia helped him pick it out from a thrift store. He looked uncomfortable but proud. "Marcus, this place is huge," Terrell said, eyes wide looking at the arena. "It is. But remember, we're not here because of the building. We're here because of the people, because of kids like you who inspire this work." Jasmine came next with her mother and younger siblings. She wore a purple dress and had her hair braided beautifully. "Marcus, I brought my business plan. Can I show some of the mentors tonight?" "Absolutely. That's what tonight is about: making connections, building relationships, creating opportunities." By 7:00 p.m., the arena floor was transformed. Round tables with white tablecloths, flowers in the center of each table, a stage with a podium and large screens, soft jazz music playing from speakers. 500 people filled the space. The energy felt electric, not like a basketball game, but like something important was about to happen. Marcus walked backstage where his father waited. Michael looked nervous, which surprised Marcus. Michael Jordan never got nervous. "You okay, Dad?" Michael nodded. "Just thinking about what I'm going to say. I want to get it right." "Just speak from your heart. That's all anyone needs." At 7:30 p.m., Ms. Patricia walked on stage to start the program. The crowd quieted immediately. "Good evening, everyone. My name is Patricia Williams. I run Second Chance Community Center here in Charlotte. 6 months ago, Marcus Jordan walked into our center after making a mistake. Tonight, he stands here after making a difference. That's what second chances look like." The crowd applauded. Marcus felt his face get hot, but he smiled. Ms. Patricia continued, "Tonight, we're going to hear from people whose lives changed because someone believed in them, because someone showed them mercy, because someone gave them a second chance." First, Terrell walked on stage. His hands shook, but his voice came out strong. "My name is Terrell Washington. I'm 17 years old. 6 months ago, I was arrested for fighting at school. I thought my life was over. I thought nobody would ever believe in me again." He looked directly at Marcus in the front row. "Then I met Marcus Jordan, not because he was perfect, but because he was honest. He told me about his mistakes, his struggles, his arrest, and he showed me that one bad choice doesn't equal a bad life." Terrell's voice grew stronger. "Because of Second Chance and because of this foundation, I got counseling, I got tutoring, I got support. Now I have straight A's. I got accepted to 4 colleges. I'm going to University of North Carolina in the fall to study engineering." The crowd erupted in applause. Terrell's mother stood up crying tears of joy. Marcus wiped his own eyes. Next, Jasmine spoke. She talked about growing up poor, about stealing clothes for her siblings, about feeling like she had no future. This foundation gave me a mentor. Ms. Carroll taught me about business. Now I'm starting my own company designing clothes. I already have 12 customers and I'm only 16. One by one, 5 teenagers told their stories, each one more powerful than the last, each one proof that second chances work. Then Marcus walked on stage. The applause was deafening. People stood up, a standing ovation before he even spoke. He waited for the noise to settle. Thank you. 6 months ago, I stood at a different kind of podium in a courtroom. I was there because I made a bad choice, because I let anger control me, because I pushed someone and got arrested. The room was completely silent. I could have taken the easy way out. My father's lawyers offered to make it disappear. A plea deal, community service at some easy place, a fine I could afford without thinking. But I chose something different. He looked at the teenagers sitting at a special table near the front. I chose the restorative justice program, 200 hours of real community service, anger management classes, mediation with the man I hurt, and working at Second Chance Community Center. That choice changed my life, not because it was easy, but because it was real. I met kids like Terrell, Jasmine, Ashley, and Devin. Kids who faced harder struggles than I ever faced. Kids who needed support, not judgment. Marcus's voice grew passionate. This foundation exists because I believe everyone deserves what I got, a second chance to become who they're meant to be, not who people expect them to be, who they're meant to be. More applause. Marcus gestured for quiet. But I want to introduce someone else, someone who taught me what second chances really mean. Please welcome my father, Michael Jordan. Michael walked onto the stage slowly. The applause was thunderous, louder than any basketball game, louder than any championship celebration. But Michael didn't wave or smile his famous smile. He just walked to the podium looking humble and real. Thank you, Michael said quietly. I'm going to tell you about someone who changed my life. His name is Patrick Sullivan. Marcus looked confused. His father hadn't mentioned this part of the speech. In 1986, Officer Patrick Sullivan pulled me over for reckless driving. I was 23 years old, angry after a basketball loss, driving dangerously through Chicago streets. He could have arrested me, should have arrested me, but he showed me mercy instead. Michael paused, emotion thick in his voice. I never properly thanked Officer Sullivan publicly. I never told the world that Michael Jordan made mistakes too. I protected my perfect image instead of telling the truth. 6 months ago, when Marcus got arrested, I finally called Officer Sullivan. 38 years later, I thanked him, and I asked him a question. How do I show my son mercy the way you showed me mercy? Officer Sullivan told me, don't fix his problem, help him grow through it. That's real love. Michael wiped his eyes. So I didn't make Marcus's arrest disappear. I didn't protect the Jordan brand image. I chose my son over my brand. And that was the best decision I ever made. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Tonight, I want to do something I should have done decades ago. Officer Patrick Sullivan is here with us. Gasps filled the arena. Michael gestured to the side of the stage. A 72-year-old man walked out slowly. Patrick Sullivan looked frail, his body battling Parkinson's disease, but his smile was bright and his eyes were clear. The entire arena stood up. 500 people applauded for 2 full minutes. Many cried. The teenagers from Second Chance stood on their chairs clapping. Patrick reached the podium. Michael hugged him, a long, genuine hug between 2 men whose lives connected across 38 years. When the applause finally stopped, Patrick spoke into the microphone. His voice was soft but steady. I didn't do anything special. I just saw a young man who made a mistake. I asked myself, will arresting him make him better, Or will showing him mercy teach him more? He looked at Michael. I chose mercy, not because Michael Jordan was famous, but because every person deserves a chance to learn and grow. Patrick turned to face the crowd. Tonight isn't about me. It's about all of us choosing mercy over punishment, choosing growth over judgment, choosing to believe people can change. Marcus walked over and shook Patrick's hand. Officer Sullivan, you changed my father's life in 1986, and my father changed my life 6 months ago. Your mercy created a chain reaction that's still spreading. That's how it works, Patrick said. One act of kindness creates another, then another, then another, until the world is different. Michael stepped forward with an envelope. Officer Sullivan, you're sick. Your Parkinson's means you can't work anymore. You've spent your retirement running a youth mentorship program in Springfield, Illinois, paying for it out of your own pocket. Patrick nodded. The kids needed help. I couldn't just stop because I got sick. Tonight, Michael said, his voice breaking with emotion, the Second Chance Jordan Foundation is donating $500,000 to your program. Marcus joined his father holding a large ceremonial check. The number showed $500,000. Patrick stared at the check. Tears rolled down his weathered face. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep helping kids, Michael said. That's all we want. I will. As long as I'm breathing, I'll keep helping kids. But Marcus stepped forward again. There's more, Officer Sullivan. We're naming our scholarship program after you. The Patrick Sullivan Second Chance Scholarship will help kids who have made mistakes get into college. Every year, 20 kids will receive full scholarships, tuition, books, housing, everything. Marcus's voice grew stronger. Because you showed my father mercy in 1986, thousands of kids will get opportunities they wouldn't have otherwise. Your kindness in that one moment created all of this. Patrick couldn't speak. He just covered his face and cried. Michael and Marcus stood on either side of him, arms around his shoulders, supporting him. The entire arena stood again. This time the applause lasted 5 minutes. People weren't just clapping, they were celebrating. Celebrating mercy. Celebrating second chances. Celebrating the truth that one small act of kindness can change everything. When Patrick finally composed himself, he said into the microphone, "If I could tell young people one thing, it would be this. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest mistake. You are the sum of every choice you make after that moment. Choose growth. Choose honesty. Choose to become better." The program continued with dinner and more speakers, but the highlight was already done. The moment everyone would remember happened when Patrick Sullivan walked on that stage. At 9:00 p.m., the fundraising totals were announced. The gala raised $32 million in one night, enough to expand the foundation to 10 more cities, enough to help hundreds more kids. But the number that mattered most was 0. 0 kids would be turned away because of lack of funding. Everyone who needed help would get it. After the gala ended and most guests left, a small group remained on the arena floor. Michael, Marcus, Patrick, Ms. Patricia, and the 12 teenagers from the original Second Chance group. They sat in a circle on folding chairs, the same setup as the community center. No fancy tables, no stages, just people in a circle talking honestly. "You know what's funny?" Patrick said, his voice tired but happy. "That night in 1986, I almost arrested you, Michael. My partner wanted to. He said, 'He's famous. We should make an example.' But I thought about my own son." Patrick's eyes grew distant with memory. "My son Jacob made mistakes when he was young. He needed guidance, not punishment. So when I saw you, Michael, I thought, what if this was Jacob? What would I want someone to do?" "What happened to Jacob?" Marcus asked. Patrick smiled sadly. "He died in 2003, car accident. He was 31 years old, but before he died, he became a teacher, helped at-risk kids in Chicago. He told me once, "Dad, you taught me that mercy matters more than being right. That's what I want my legacy to be." Michael reached over and held Patrick's hand. "Your legacy is living through all of us, through this foundation, through these kids, through the thousands of people who will benefit from your one act of kindness." Jasmine spoke up. "Mr. Sullivan, do you think people can really change, like truly change who they are?" Patrick looked at the young girl with kind eyes. "I've seen murderers become ministers. I've seen drug addicts become counselors. I've seen angry kids become loving parents. Yes, Jasmine, people can change, but only if someone believes they can." He looked around the circle. "Your father believed in you, Marcus. And Marcus, you believe in these kids, and these kids will believe in others. That's how we change the world, one moment of mercy at a time." They sat together in silence for a long moment. The giant arena felt intimate and small, just 12 people who understood something important about life. At 11:00 p.m., they finally said goodbye. Patrick hugged each teenager individually. He whispered something to each one, words of encouragement, words of belief, words of hope. When he got to Terrell, Patrick said, "You remind me of my son Jacob, strong, smart, destined for great things. Don't ever forget, you are more than your worst moment." Terrell hugged him tight. "Thank you, Mr. Sullivan, for everything." Marcus and his father walked Patrick to his car. The old officer moved slowly, his Parkinson's making each step deliberate. "Thank you for coming," Michael said. "Thank you for being here. Thank you for saving my life 38 years ago." Patrick smiled. "Michael, you saved your own life. I just didn't get in the way. Now you're doing the same for Marcus. And Marcus will do it for his kids someday. That's how it works. That's how we heal." They watched Patrick drive away, his taillights disappearing into the Charlotte night. Marcus and Michael stood in the parking lot under the stars. Neither spoke for a while. Just father and son standing together, both changed by the journey. "Dad," Marcus finally said, "thank you." "For what?" "For choosing me over your brand. For being real instead of perfect. For showing me that second chances aren't just for people who fail. They're also for people who need to stop trying to be perfect." Michael put his arm around his son. "You taught me that, Marcus, not the other way around. Your arrest forced me to face who I really was, forced me to stop hiding, forced me to be honest." "We taught each other," Marcus said. "Yes, that's what family does, we grow together." They stood there for another minute, neither wanting the moment to end. Then Michael said something that surprised Marcus. "I'm proud of you, not because of what you accomplished tonight, but because of who you've become. You're a better man than I was at your age. Hell, you're a better man than I am now." "That's not true, Dad." "It is true. You chose honesty first. It took me 40 years to choose honesty. You did it at 33. That's growth. That's evolution." Marcus felt tears forming again. "I love you, Dad." "I love you too, son." They drove home separately but feeling connected. The gala was over. The fundraising was done. The speeches were finished. But the work continued. Tomorrow, kids would show up at second chance centers needing help. Tomorrow, teenagers would face choices about their futures. Tomorrow, people would need second chances. And the foundation would be there, ready to help, ready to support, ready to believe in people the way Patrick Sullivan believed in Michael Jordan 38 years ago. 6 months later, January 2025. Snow fell softly on Chicago's streets. Not the heavy snow that buried cars, but the gentle kind that made everything look clean and new. Marcus stood outside a building on South Michigan Avenue. The sign read, "Second Chance Community Center, Chicago." This was the second center the foundation opened. The first was in Charlotte, now Chicago, Michael Jordan's basketball home, and soon centers in Los Angeles, New York, Atlanta, and Dallas. Today was the grand opening. Local news crews set up cameras, community leaders gave speeches, but the most important moment came when Marcus introduced a special program. "I want to announce something personal," Marcus said to the crowd of about 200 people. "I'm going back to school. At 34 years old, I'm enrolling at DePaul University here in Chicago to study social work." His mother, Juanita, standing in the front row, cried tears of joy. "For 33 years, I tried to be my father's son," Marcus continued. "I tried to live up to an impossible standard. I tried to be Michael Jordan." He paused and looked at his father standing beside him. "But now I'm trying to be my own person. And the only way I can do that is by helping other people become their own persons too. Social work isn't about making money. It's about making meaning. And that's what I want my life to be about." Michael stepped forward and hugged his son in front of everyone. "I'm so proud of you, Marcus. Not because you're doing something impressive, but because you're doing something true." After the ceremony, Marcus taught his first basketball clinic in the new center. 12 kids ages 10 to 15 came to learn. One kid, a 10-year-old named Diego, asked the question kids always asked: "Is your dad really Michael Jordan?" Marcus smiled, the same smile he'd given 100 times to this question, but his answer was different now. "Yeah, my dad is Michael Jordan. But you know what? He's just a man who made mistakes and learned from them. Just like me, just like you, just like all of us." Diego thought about that. So even Michael Jordan messes up. Even Michael Jordan messes up. The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people isn't whether they make mistakes. It's what they do after the mistakes. "What did you do after your mistake?" Diego asked innocently. Marcus knelt down to the boy's eye level. "I chose to grow. I chose to help others. I chose to stop pretending I was perfect and start being real. That's the best decision I ever made." Diego nodded seriously. "I'm gonna do that too." "I believe you will," Marcus said. That night, Marcus sat in his new apartment in Chicago, much smaller than his Charlotte place, but it felt more like home. He opened his laptop and started writing his application essay for DePaul University's social work program. The prompt asked, "Why do you want to become a social worker?" Marcus wrote, "On March 12, 2024, I was arrested for assault. That night, sitting in a jail cell, I thought my life was over. I thought I had failed my family, failed myself, failed everyone who believed in me. But that arrest didn't end my life. It began my real life. I want to become a social worker because I learned something important. People are not defined by their worst moments. They are defined by their response to those moments. I met teenagers who made bigger mistakes than I did but had fewer resources to recover. I met kids who needed someone to believe in them. I met young people who just needed one person to say, 'You can change. I believe in you.' I want to be that person for as many people as possible, not because I'm special, but because someone was that person for me. My father showed me mercy. Officer Patrick Sullivan showed my father mercy, and that mercy created a chain reaction that's still spreading. Social work is about breaking cycles of pain and creating cycles of hope. That's what I want to spend my life doing." He submitted the application at 11:47 p.m., exactly the same time his father received the phone call about his arrest 9 months earlier. The coincidence made Marcus smile. Life had a way of bringing things full circle. His phone buzzed. A text from his father, "Proud of you, son. Always have been, always will be." Marcus typed back, "Thank you for everything, Dad, for being real, for being human, for being my father." Another text came in, this time from Terrell. Just finished my first semester at UNC. Made Dean's List. Thanks for believing in me, Marcus. Then Jasmine. My clothing company made $5,000 this month. I'm hiring 2 people from Second Chance to help me. Then Ashley. Got accepted into nursing school, starting in fall. One by one, messages came in from kids whose lives changed because someone gave them a second chance. Marcus read each message and felt something powerful settle into his soul. Not pride in his accomplishments, not relief from pressure, but purpose. Deep, meaningful, lasting purpose. He walked to his window and looked out at Chicago's skyline. Lights twinkled like stars brought down to earth. Somewhere in this city, kids were struggling. Somewhere, teenagers were making mistakes. Somewhere, young people needed help. And tomorrow, Marcus would be there to help them. Not as Michael Jordan's son, not as a former businessman trying to prove something, but as Marcus Jordan, a social worker, a mentor, a person who understood that second chances can change everything. He thought about Officer Patrick Sullivan's words, "You are not your worst moment. You are the sum of every choice you make after that moment." Marcus made his choices. He chose truth over image, help over pride, growth over comfort, meaning over money, and those choices set him free. Finally himself, finally free, finally home. The arrest that seemed like the end was actually the beginning. The mistake that felt like failure was actually the doorway to purpose. And the son who thought he'd never escape his father's shadow learned something beautiful. He didn't need to escape the shadow. He needed to create his own light. And that's exactly what he did. And that was the end of this story. A story about mistakes and mercy. About a father choosing truth over image. About a son finding purpose through pain. About how one act of kindness in 1986 created a ripple effect that changed thousands of lives. We'd love to know, where are you listening from? Drop your location in the comments below. Are you in Charlotte, Chicago, maybe somewhere across the world? Let us know. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. It helps us bring you more inspiring stories like this one. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another story about real people, real struggles, and real transformation. Most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. Share it with someone who needs to hear that their worst moment doesn't define them. Share it with someone who's struggling with mistakes or carrying guilt. Share it with anyone who needs to know that second chances are real. Together, we can spread kindness and awareness. One story at a time, one person at a time, one second chance at a time. Thank you for listening. We'll see you in the next story.